you make most of your money with a blog, and you were thinking to yourself, okay, I've got this blog, it's fun. But realistically, are people just going to read blog after blog and go into the archives? All of this, maybe not, but perhaps if they can get hooked onto the podcast, then they'll be able to stay with the podcast for a long, long time. I'm curious, when you say you make money, a significant amount of your income from the blog, what do you mean there? Do you mean that you're getting clients, that you're helping them to hack into credit cards and points? Do you mean that you've got sponsors? How do you make that money, out of curiosity?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, just to clarify, most of my money comes from freelance writing. So I freelance write for a lot of like the major names, like NerdWallet and The Points Guy and US News and Forbes and those types of things. But I do make a decent amount from my website, primarily through like affiliate income, sponsored posts. Somebody clicks on a credit card affiliate link, applies for the card, gets the card, then I get paid from that. So cool. There's a lot of different avenues that way.
Is one of your credit cards that you suggest, is it the Southwest card?
Really, I look as depends on where you want to go. I have a free course on my website where it kind of walks people through the process of, hey, let's figure out where you want to go first. Because like as much as I love Southwest, I've had the Southwest Companion Pass every year since 2007. As much as I love it, if I want to go to Europe, those points aren't going to do anything for me. And so figuring out where you want to go first. And then from there, let's figure out the miles and points we need to be able to get you on that flight, and get you there for significantly less, possibly even upgrading to like a business or first class flight, those types of things. That's really the way to go. Similarly, on the hotel side, like we went to St. Kitts a couple of years ago. And if you had like 10 million Hilton points, it wouldn't matter. Hilton doesn't have any locations on St. Kitts. So you can't redeem your points for there. So they have a Marriott and they have a Hyatt. And so those, again, if that's where you want to go, those are the types of points we would focus on earning. So that way you'd be able to pay for some or all of your trip.
That makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I do. The only two that I've ever had is Southwest and the Amex. I like them both. I like all the points for Amex. It gets me a lot of stuff for free on Amazon. Like I'll just go and look, and I usually have enough money there just for free to buy stuff with the points.
I would caution against that because generally when you're redeeming your points through a shopping portal like Amazon or through their little mall that they offer a lot of times, generally you're getting about anywhere from like 0.5 to 0.8 cents of value.
Okay.
When like your Amex points, if you use them for flights or higher end hotels, you're probably getting closer to like 2 cents a point. So really, you're getting less than 50% of the value of those points when you redeem them for shopping at Amazon.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. So I'm glad to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah. So to your question earlier, though, as far as like how the podcast and the site kind of work well with each other, I purposely initially, when I did the podcast, I did it under a different name. So it wasn't necessarily miles and points related. I rarely talked about miles and points, through the vast majority of the episodes, because I didn't want it to be a miles and points podcast, because there are some of those out there. And a lot of times in that world, the information gets stale very quickly because programs change the value of their miles and points. They change the redemption patterns, the earning power, those types of things. And so I wanted to be able to just attract a broader audience of people just love to travel, because there are a lot of people that are afraid of miles and points. So I didn't want to focus on that. And so really I want to encourage people to travel with the podcast and to think about new destinations or, have a deeper travel experience when they travel. Like my tagline is travel like a local. And so now that I've been doing it for 4.5 years, I'm slowly starting to introduce some miles and points into the conversation, et cetera, because no matter how much money you make, there's a limit as far as how much you can travel. Like you got to make some money and you have a certain amount of budget, you have other expenses. And so by incorporating some of the miles and points, saying, hey, look, there's all these amazing places around the world that you want to travel to. Let's figure out how to be able to save money so that way you can visit more of them or have better experiences. Like, for example, a few years ago, I went to Paris with my buddy Dave, and we used miles and points for the flights and the hotels and everything else. Because we save so much money that way, we splurge on just this amazing, like 7-course duck dinner at La Tour d'Argent that's like right on the river, overlooking the Church of Notre Dame, et cetera. But if we were paying cash for our entire trip, we probably would have been a little hesitant to spend, $400 or $500 on that just incredible once in a lifetime type of dinner.